Hello, everyone. So this is our final assignment in the trig function unit. And what this is about is application now. So the sine and cosine waves can be used in many different application settings. You're going to want to make sure you have radian mode set in your calculator because when we find equations, they're in terms of radians, the h value. So make sure your radians for that. On the other end of things, when you're graphing, you can be in degree mode, but when you're finding equations and then checking that or using your main screen, you need to be in radians mode. All right, so I'm telling you what equation to find. Here's your calculations, and then we're going to answer some questions involving that equation, like we always do. We have a certain function we study, and then we go to the table, or however you want to do it. You can do it on the main screen. I'm only going to ask for y values given x values, not the other way around. That would be a little bit more difficult. Anyway, what you need to do is correctly identify the minimum and the maximum starting at 0 hours. So we have to think in terms of military time. So at 10 a.m., that's 10 hours gone by. The water's at its lowest point, 12 feet below normal. So there's our min. So the x is now hours. So we're not really unit circle based. So here's a good example of getting away from the unit circle. Maximum at 8 p.m. So now we're military time. So this is 20 hours gone by. The water is at its peak 10 feet above normal. Guess what? X min, Y min, X max, Y max. And then we're going to do all of these over here. So Y max minus Y min over 2. So this is going to be 10 minus negative 12 over 2. That's 11. B, so pi over x max minus x min. These will be a little bit easier to do in these settings. So x max is 20, x min is 10, so pi over 10, pretty easy. H sub sine x min plus x max over 2. So 10 plus 20 over 2, 15. And then K, which is your midline, is y min plus y max over 2. So negative 12 plus 10 over 2, and this is negative 1. So there they are. There's the A, the B, the H, and the K. Now you have to write this correctly. So what does this look like? 11 sine of pi over 10. Notice now B used to be just a number. Now it's in terms of radians because we're off the unit circle. That's a little weird, but that's what we have to work with. Okay, according to the equation, how high is the water above normal at 5 p.m.? So x equals 17. Why 17? Because we're in military time. We're in elapsed time gone by. Just like when we got the x max, it was 20 hours gone by. So we put in 17, or we put this into our y equals and go to the table to check it out. Either way, it doesn't matter. But make sure you are in degree mode. I think I'll stick on my main screen. I'm sorry, make sure you are in radians mode. Make sure you're in radians mode because that's in radians, the pi over 10. When you're dealing with finding equations and you want a graph to check or you want to compute a y value given an x or maybe an x given a y, you need to be in radians mode. If you're graphing, it's okay to be in the degree mode when you're finding coordinates to graph. All right, so 11 sine of, okay, now we need to do a separate set of parentheses over 10 for the pi over 10, like that. And now x is 17 minus 15. And another right parenthesis plus negative 1. And then that will reveal the 5.5 feet that we need, rounded, of course. So 5.5 feet. You get the idea? We did a lot of these in the last assignment. Hopefully this won't be as challenging as it looks. What is the period? So now we're going back to, and I don't know why I didn't put it in here, how on some previous, I'll go to my set of notes here. This is another way to do the period, 2 times x max minus the x min. You can get it, absolute value, of course. So our x max is 20, and our x min is 10. So this is absolute value of 10 is 10. So 20 hours. So remember, the period is an x value, the length of the x-axis where one of the waves cycles through. Okay, 20 hours. All the same on number 2. So at 8 a.m., the height of the eruptions are at a peak 40 feet in the air. So 840 goes right here. If you don't get the min and the max correct, you're going to be done. This will be 2012. Why 20? Because at 8 p.m., that's 20 hours of military time at a low 12 feet in the air. And all the same. So to make this video quick, all the same calculations over here. And these values will be 14, pi over 12, 8, and 26. Weird because of the application, but those are the values. So this will be 14 times cosine, so we're using cosine now. Pi over 12 times x minus 8 plus 26. So 10:30 a.m., this is 10.5. What is y? So just use your calculator again, as I showed you before. I will do this, 14 cosine, 2 parentheses there, pi over 12. Again, make sure you're in radians mode. Make sure you're in radians mode. So x is 10.5 minus, 8. Another right parenthesis plus 26. So 37.1 feet. So approximately, what is the period? So same thing here, 2 times the x max minus the x min, absolute value. So you got to be careful because the absolute value will kick in here. Oops, I was going too fast. 8 minus 20. So this would be absolute value of negative 12. And so this is 24 hours. Nothing to do with the day, of course. It's just how these geysers periodically cycle. Okay, so you have your assignment, just 2 problems, nice and short and sweet today.